What is going on, guys? Welcome to the first Spike Week post-launch, post-community launch. We're still working on a couple of other things. I have been on vacation out of the country for the last week, so it's been a little bit slower moving than I expected or hoped, but we're cramming around the clock trying to get everything up. But we got Discord going. Seen a lot of you guys in there in Discord already today. Just went live with that a little bit ago. And since I'm back, I figured, why not? Let's just draft, right? There was like, I left, went on vacation at a good time. I hate drafting like right away when camp starts because there's so much. Thank you, Shane. I'm actually excited to be back. We went to the Bahamas, and it was an absolutely amazing time. But I was excited to be back. It was a really bittersweet. I didn't want to. You don't want to leave this place. I live in St. Louis, and my wife and I are in Great Exuma, and it's about infinity times more beautiful than St. Louis, Missouri, and so. It was pretty sad to leave, but excited to get back. Obviously, we have a limited time before season starts, and so I noticed I got in a couple of drafts this morning just to kind of start to get a feel back, like get my feel back for ADPs and how things have shifted, especially because I left for vacation pre Aaron Rodgers, like confirmation basically that he was playing, and also pre Carson Wentz injury, like a lot of, all the training camp news, a lot of guys going on PUP, a lot of different things, happen really fast at the start of training camp. And I think it's a really interesting time to start to digest a lot of what's going on. And like, I think it's possible that right now it's tough to say during training camp, but I think it's possible right now there's a good amount of edge, maybe. Just because like what's really happening right now, right? Like it's nothing but puff pieces and then like a few guys like really tanking, right? Denzel Mims is running with the third team. I think that's actually fairly significant, but the rest is just like even the injury stuff is like we don't know. We don't know what any of this shit means. We don't know how hurt Amari Cooper is. We don't know how hurt Devontae Parker is. Dak is plummeting. Like, Dak seems fine, but Dak is plummeting. We don't even know how hurt Carson Wentz is. And so like I get why he's plummeting. There's a lot of risk in him, but we don't know what Carson Wentz, we don't know if he's going to miss week 1. Even if he misses week 1, we don't know if Jacob Eason is worse than Carson Wentz. There's just so much like stuff that probably doesn't even matter. And we're seeing massive swings in ADP. So I thought it was a really interesting time to kind of dive back in and see, how the player pool is. And I kind of felt like this too, that these rooms feel soft right now. At least I haven't been drafting as much on Underdog. We are going to draft on Underdog here in just a second. But I feel like, yeah, everything has changed. Everything has changed a ton. I like the ADPs and everything were so crazy because of this. And people are reacting just like absolutely insanely to every little piece of news. And like this, the whole Dolphins team is on IR, and then you have the whole tight end, like the whole Vikings tight end, the whole Vikings quarterback room is on the COVID list. The whole Dolphins tight end room is on the COVID list. It's like there's just all this shit going on, and like honestly, probably none of it matters, but some of it might. But like as an overall view, like none of this shit probably matters, and yet huge swings, right? Like I was just looking just a little bit ago on DraftKings, and it's like Devontae Parker had started to rise back up into like the low 100s in ADP on DraftKings, which is kind of funny because he went way higher on Underdog. But we had started to see same thing. Will Fuller, falling. Waddle, like the whole Dolphins team is like injured or there's concerns. But we're starting to see some of these things, like Devontae Parker's in like the 130s now on DraftKings, which feels really, 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 really silly to me. But it just drives home the point. Like there's this is so true. There's so much news happening right now, and everyone is reacting to every little bit of it. Like it's like totally true, totally matters, or like every injury report on a guy is like huge swings on like what does that mean for that player in his draft stock. So anyway, I did some drafts. I wanted to do a draft today because Trey Lance is the only thing that matters in preseason. Everybody should know that Trey Lance is going to win this job in week 1, and Jimmy G's throwing picks, and that's all fun. So anyway, let me share here real quick and get this puppy rolling. All right, Underdog. So if you want to get in, now's the time. Best Ball Mania 2. Everything matters. This is so true. There's 10 spots. 10. No, I don't know if that's good. If all you guys are going to fill these 10 spots, yep. It's probably bad for me. But this is really true. Everything matters and nothing matters. I don't even know how to necessarily like reply to that as much as there's stuff that's happening right now that's definitely going to matter. It's just that we have no idea. We don't have the slightest idea which stuff matters. I wish. Underdog said no puppy today. They don't know yet when the next puppy, but it's coming soon because they said August. So puppy 2, I believe, is coming soon. Or I don't even know if it'll be puppy 2. I don't know what it'll be, but they are puppy 2 or like some follow-up tournament to the puppy is coming shortly. I know that they mentioned that. Let me share this on Twitter. Yeah, this is going to be brutal if it's just all you guys. Oh no. But it's really, really an interesting time, I think. And I don't know who, and now it's going to fill right before I send this tweet, of course. It's a really, really interesting time. They said sticking to $5. Okay, that's good. I like that. I like being able to fire a lot at the $5 price point, especially because I've got a lot of my I think this will be like 96, 97 into Best Ball Mania 2, and I'm trying to save some of them for a little bit closer to the season. And so I've been doing a little bit more, on DraftKings. So the puppy would help fill that. But anyway, back to this point that Frank is talking about. Like, I really do think it's possible that the drafts are actually, like, even though there's a lot of sharp players, like everybody in here is a sharp player, everybody that's been drafting all summer is a sharp player. Even though we're still probably at the point where it's a little bit more sharp players, it's a natural human reaction to like process all of this news that we're getting. And we're getting like more news than we ever got before. And relative to last year, it's like infinitely more, right? Because last year was a COVID season. We didn't really have that much access to what was happening. And now we have infinite amounts of access, and every beat reporter under the sun is reporting everything that's going on at camp. And everybody, right? Oh my God, every team has X how many guys that are just crushing it, right? And we're even seeing video clips. I mean, even like Quintez Cephas, right, has a one-handed catch. I assume he caught it. There's no video. There's just a picture. He might have dropped it, and then we all look really stupid because I could do that. I could lean back and one hand and drop the pass. But anyway, like we're seeing all that, right? Quintez Cephas hype, right? Matt Breida. The thing I saw just a little bit ago is Matt Breida hype. There's hype on everyone. The only person not getting hyped is Denzel Mims and Jimmy G. That's it. Denzel Mims is a bum. It's over. I think it's over. It's over for Denzel Mims, right? I don't really know if it's over, but that's what it seems. And then Jimmy G's throwing picks and Trey Lance is a god. Like, that's the only things that we've really learned, and everybody else is just getting all this hype. And so I've been talking about this now for like 5 minutes, but like the ADPs are crazily shifting during all this because there's so much news, and it's just natural human instinct to react to like what this is going on, and it's human instinct to run away from risk, especially as it like pertains to injury. I agree. Jimmy G, did you see the photo? He's like pointing at Trey Lance. He's telling everybody that Trey Lance is the man. I don't know what happened with Mims. I don't want to get super hand in the dirt, but I'm not sold. Mims was. I think he's okay. He's okay at what he does, right? Kind of a down the field contested catch type of a player, and that's really kind of what he was at Baylor too. I think we fell a little bit more in love with him than was warranted last year. I don't think he was that good of a prospect, and I'm not the prospect guru, but I think a lot of even much smarter people than me might tell you, like, if you really watched him at Baylor, I know he broke out kind of early, and he was a fine prospect, but I think we got a little bit too excited for Mims just because he was young and there was opportunity on a bad team, right? If he was on a team where he didn't have opportunity, I'm not certain that we would be all that excited about Denzel Mims. Josh Palmer getting good reports. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, ooh, I don't know what I'm going to do here. I guess I'm going to be taking somebody I haven't been taking a lot of here, huh? This is brutal. So Diggs, Adams, excuse me. I'm actually going to take Eckler here. Oops. I don't really love Eckler, but I don't have a ton of them. And I really want to make sure during these times of these swayed ADPs, using that a little bit to diversify my my portfolio. I actually have gotten a fair bit of Saquon, and I actually wouldn't be opposed to like Saquon Eckler here. I know I'm going to fall behind this wide receiver room for sure if I do that, but I'm not totally opposed to it, depending on what happens here. Otherwise, I can take Nuke or Ridley. But anyway, like the Josh Palmer. Yeah, I went on vacation and I came back and I only draft running backs. Just in case you didn't know, I even made a joke about the 0 RB people on Twitter today. Dobbins, oh baby. Let's go. I'm gonna take Ridley now. But I do think this is a good time to kind of stick to your, there's certain things each person's going to react to a little bit differently. But like this Josh Palmer thing is a point. Like, is the Josh Palmer hype real? I don't know. Everybody's getting hyped. Albert Wilson's catching 90-yard touchdowns. Albert Wilson might not even be active on game days, but like everybody's hurt for Miami, so he's catching 90-yard touchdowns. What does that mean? Maybe it means Albert Wilson's going to start in the slot. That could be true. Maybe Josh Palmer is really good. That could be true. But point to me which puff pieces are true and which ones aren't. Because like we have like historical evidence for years and years and years and years and years that like most of this is bullshit. They're just that's what these reporters are paid to do, is just like hype up their team's players. And they're not like trying to purposely be dishonest, and maybe the guys do look good, but that also just because you look good in shorts doesn't mean anything for the season. So anyway, I do agree with this. Actually, Albert Wilson is a good real life player. I think he opted out fairly early last year that I wasn't drafting him, but 2 years ago I actually drafted a lot of Albert Wilson. So I do think Albert Wilson can play. But point being, tell me which one of these things is real. Nobody knows. And so I think it's actually a fairly decent time to draft. I'm not saying that like this is the greatest edge ever, but I do think we're getting a few more casuals in, right? Just slowly getting some more casuals in, and then ADPs are just swinging. Like even good players are not immune to overreacting to news, and I'm not even necessarily saying anyone is overreacting. I don't know what the appropriate amount to react to any of this is, but no one does. And so I just want to swing in the opposite direction of what everybody is done with the Colts players, right? But everybody already thought that Carson Wentz sucked. Nobody wanted anything to do with Carson Wentz before. Everybody thought Carson Wentz sucked. And the Colts players are all cheap besides JT. The Colts players are all free in fantasy. And now all of a sudden, like we're off Michael Pittman, we're off Mo Alley Cox, we're off Paris Campbell. Why? I mean, who's to say Jacob Eason isn't better? Who's to say they don't trade for somebody better? You know, I know they signed Brett Hundley. Shit, who's to say Brett Hundley isn't better? That's interesting. Javonte is a tough one to say. There's also a little, you know, this is another one. How are you reacting to news? Like Ben Albright and Broncos beats are like, Melvin's the starter. Everybody thinking Javonte is going to be the starter. You're wrong, basically, type of thing. And part of it is that's actually kind of expected, right? Like the veteran is probably going to be the starter when you first enter camp. That's just like how it works. They're not just going to hand it over to Javonte. That doesn't mean anything for week one or for his seasonal projection, and it certainly doesn't mean shit for the playoff run, right? Like Jonathan Taylor last year. Marlon Mack got the first Gary of the Colts season. Now he got hurt really early, but it didn't. What's up with this Amari drop? Does everybody really think Amari's hurt? Why are we letting Amari Cooper fall to the fourth round? Doesn't make any sense to me. I hate this wide receiver range. I don't know what I'm going to do here. But anyway, Javonte is an interesting one because part of me has always kind of thought we're really quick to anoint the rookies, but I also see the benefits, right? Like I'm a shoot for upside kind of guy, so I totally get Travis Etienne. I think I had gone back and forth, and I was a little more Javonte. I was a little bit more on Javonte to start the year, and really for a while. And I kind of think Ben Gretsch at yards per Gretsch has convinced me definitely Etienne. I was being a little stubborn on Etienne. However, I think we do also sometimes fall in love with the unknown. Like there's a certain point where the payoff is actually like we're dreaming of a fake scenario that isn't necessarily in the range of outcomes or is really, 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 really low probability in terms of the range of outcomes. And so even as much as I'm the king, like, Dan, we'll get to your point on CD and Amari, but like the Javonte Etienne thing, I struggle with it a little bit because I'm the king of like upside. I also obviously like, more of the zero RB, hero RB builds. And like there was a point in the offseason where we had the crazy, after ship chasing ruined wide receiver ADPs and running back ADPs. We had a point where, like, for whatever reason, Etienne and Javonte were the guys falling to the seventh, which didn't make any sense. They were the dead zone running backs that should actually get pushed up during all of that, or at least stay like in the fourth, fifth round. But anyway, we had that time. But for most of the offseason, these guys were like fifth round picks or something. And like I liked them fine in the fifth round, but there was still a lot of opportunity cost and structural disadvantages to taking them there. And so you really had to weigh this, like, are we just pipe dreaming about upside? And so I really struggle with that. And I think I see it a little bit more on ETN now than I do on Javonte, which maybe sounds silly because we had this whole Urban Meyer debacle, with Carlos Hyde and stuff. But when you feel pretty confident that the guy's going to get the passing down work right away, or has very, very clear paths to the passing down work right away, and he just needs to grow into, more of an every down role, I think that's a little bit easier to dream about the ceiling. And Javonte was never really a passing down guy. It's not that he can't do it, and so I'm not saying that either. But I'm saying Melvin has always been the third down, goal line type guy. And so I do have concerns even about when we get to that time where Javonte starts to take over. I have concerns that, he could be more like Rojo, whereas Travis Etienne could be like Kamara. You know what I mean? So like that's my concern with Javonte and kind of how I've started to think about that. However, I do totally get he has started to fall, and there is a ceiling. There is definitely a ceiling. And I do agree with this. I've been talking with Dwayne McFarland and Siege and a couple of people on Twitter today because I'm a really big CD stan. So like I'm wide receiver has gotten a little bit hairy here. I'm a pretty big CD stan. So like you guys are killing me here. Let me make a pick and then we can talk about this some more. I think we're taking Hawkinson, and another guy that I'm letting these assholes talk me into some of these guys, listening to Corain and Gretchen and Leone and some of these guys. I think they've made some fair points on Hawkinson, and I haven't been tremendously willing to draft Hawkinson, and so I just think I need to get a little bit of Hawkinson in my portfolio. So I've taken him a little bit more than like I used to. And so anyway, back to the CD thing, right? I'm super in on CD. And it's possible that I'm overvaluing his upside. It's certainly possible I'm overvaluing his upside. I don't think I am. I think people yeah, we'll get to that too. But on the CD thing, I don't think he should be going. It's close. I don't know exactly. All right, I don't know what's going on here, guys. Somebody's got to explain to me why Dak now goes in the sixth. Why Dak now goes in the sixth round? Are we really worried about this shoulder thing? I don't get it. I don't get it. Devonta Smith. All right, we'll get to some of these questions. I'll wrap up on CD. I think this is a fair assessment, basically, is what I'm saying. I think we kind of probably know what Amari is, but I don't want to be. I think it's lazy when we just write off the guy who is a little bit older and hasn't shown the mega ceiling, and then we just assume CD has it. When it's like, we know Amari Cooper is good. And maybe last year was that ceiling year for Amari. And we didn't get to see it because Dak got hurt. He was on his way to a monster season. Who knows what happens if Dak doesn't get hurt, right? And so I think we sometimes get lazy and we say, okay, Amari hasn't done it. CD hasn't done it either, but he's the young hotshot guy. And I think sometimes we're a little bit too lazy on that. Like Amari Cooper isn't Larry Fitzgerald. He's not even Julio Jones, right? Like I love Julio and I've taken a little bit of Julio, but there's really clear reasons to believe like, Julio might be slowing down. He started, he was still really efficient last year, but he started to slow down a little bit. And like, again, I've been listening to Gretch and Sean Siegel, and Gretch talked a lot about, there's even some reasons to think, maybe Julio is slowing down, but Amari's not that. And so I don't think we should fall into that. And so I do think CD should go above Amari, but yeah, Amari going after, like everyone clearly loves the Cowboys offense, but Amari going after some of the other receivers that he goes after, I just think the gap should be closer. I'm not even saying I actually think it's possible CD should go higher, but I think Amari should probably go higher too. Is really all that I'm saying. CD's prospect profile is awesome. Totally agree. you're not going to hear me say a bad word about CD. CD's the man. He's awesome. Amari Cooper's prospect profile is pretty good too. And he came over to the, he was the original guy that bucked the trend of wide receivers moving teams, right? He did it mid-season, and he just came right over to the Cowboys, instant smash. And now we've seen some upside, but not like the legendary upside. And I think it's very much possible that last year was going to be his legendary season, and we just didn't get a chance to see it. Like, I don't know if that's true. It could have been CD that we missed on the legendary season last year. And so I'm betting more on CD, but I don't think we should be writing off Amari, especially even with this injury. I'm just going to take the injury discount. Like, I could be wrong. Maybe he misses time. I don't know, but I'm not too worried about it. And this is basically my point. I think CD should be after the AJ Brown tier. He should be the next guy, but he goes after Keenan. He used to maybe go after Michael Thomas. It's been fluctuating a little bit, but I think you could even make cases for why he should go ahead of like Justin Jefferson and DK Metcalf. I'm not saying that he should go there, but I think that's at least a discussion point. And so in turn, Amari should go a little bit sooner too. I know, dude, this is funny. I thought you guys were going to make this a whole lot more painful on me. And, I'm not like a super big Eckler guy, but I don't really have a lot of like hero running back Eckler teams. So I'm kind of cool. I'm kind of cool with this team you guys have let me have here. Hawk, that's what I was going to get to is Jameson's point here on Hawkinson. I kind of agree. I tend to agree with this like kind of analysis, honestly. This is a point where you guys have definitely hawked some wide receivers here, huh? Okay, the guy in the turn has 3 running backs and 2 wide receivers and a quarterback. Okay. Yeah, I think we'll go Samuel here. God, 7-11 for Curtis Samuel. That is something. Anyway, Jameson's point, I agree. I tend to agree on Hawkinson. But just like some of the points that guys have made is basically if you just get as much volume as is in Hawkinson's range of outcomes, right? If you catch 80 balls, if you get, 130, 140 targets as a tight end, like you're just going to pay off, even though it's empty. I know they are going to be empty receptions, but like I just need that floor, and then you just need to stumble into touchdowns, right? Who am I to say he can't? I also like this, guys. Oh man, Hunt versus I can't fade Sermon here. Yeah, I don't hate this team. Definitely about to start getting pushed out of wide receiver, I'm sure here. So maybe I think I maybe should have taken Nuke instead of Eckler. We'll see. We'll see what that 2v2 looks like. Where are we at on Devonta Smith? I haven't drafted Devonta Smith one time, I don't think, unless I got auto drafted. I'm not taking him at ADP, and maybe that's stubborn. It's just the problem of you can't take everybody, and he has never fallen to where I want to draft him. Not over other guys, and I actually kind of like him as a player and a long-term bet, but I just don't want to take him in the 6th round. There's just guys I prefer there, and I know you want to have a diverse portfolio and all that, but you can't cover every base. You do have to like make some bets, and so I would take him if he like fell significantly past ADP and like the guys that I prefer over him, went, and that's why he fell. Then maybe I would take him, but that just has never happened to me. So I'm not super high on him. Let's see here. Yeah, I think that's also a fair assessment. CD definitely got pushed up on Underdog. The sickos, Chris G, Ship Chasers, everybody pushing CD up. Definitely pushing CD up. Doesn't Hunt give you more floor and upside than Sermon? That's fair. I mean that's a fair assessment. I think it's a little bit of a coin flip. I'm just on the Niners. I want Niners exposure about whenever I can get it. And so I think it's a totally fair take to say, Hunt is definitely giving me those, quote unquote usable weeks a little bit more than Sermon is. But we also don't know that. I know Hunt is the number 2, and I do know that he's usable, and I do know that he has, league winning upside without Chubb. But I'm also trying to make that bet on the 49ers personally. And I think any of the 49ers backs are probably lower floor, and some might even argue, I guess, lower ceiling. But I think with the 49ers schedule and with the potential for what their offense can be, if Sermon becomes the guy, he has as much upside as anybody. I think that's a little bit lower probability. And, it's also maybe focusing on this like schedule, and the playoff schedule and the fact that he's, this rookie. We just don't know. I'm just kind of trying to embrace that uncertainty a little bit. So kind of just a few different things for me with Sermon over Hunt, but I totally no arguments for me if you want to take Hunt over higher floor and upside. I'm not even honestly going to disagree. I slightly lean to Sermon, but I think that's a totally fair. And I actually agree with this. I prefer Sermon, or I prefer Mostert at a discount, but I don't want to. Part of my draft approach, just because. So it's similar to like James Conner versus Chase Edmonds, ambiguous backfields. I don't want to, especially when I want to have exposure to that backfield. This is funny. There's Devontae Parker, who's probably who I'm going to take here. Let's double check. Damn, AJ Dillon got pushed up, huh? Jeez. Where is he going now? Wow. So anyway, on like the Sermon, Mostert, those ambiguous backfields, particularly the ambiguous backfields that I want exposure to, which is also the Cardinals. Cardinals are not the same extent as the 49ers. But in the ambiguous backfield, I don't want to be lazy about that exposure. I want 49ers running backs on my teams. If one of the 49ers running backs hits, it could be league-winning hit, especially in these tournaments, given their schedule, given their schedule in the playoffs, all that kind of stuff. And I don't want to only do so-and-so's cheaper, so I'm just not going to take Sermon. Well, what if Sermon is the hit? It was one round. It's a one-round difference. And I want the hit. You know what I mean? Thank you very much. I will take Rondale. So I'm just trying not to be. It was like the Edmonds versus Connor thing. People were like, "Oh, I'm getting so much exposure to Connor and none to Edmonds." I get having more exposure, and I do. I have more Mostert than I have Sermon. But when you clearly want to make a bet on that backfield, and the ADP is not that different, it's one round. Sermon goes one round before Mostert, and now with Sermon, what's 75.6, and Mostert's ADP is like what? Let's see. 89. Okay, so still around. It's not so different that, it's not like Sermon's going in the 3rd and Mostert's going in the 11th. So I don't want to be tied to that ADP on my bet when they're that close together. But I think it's okay to bet more on the cheaper guy is basically what I'm saying. Yes and no. Mostert can't stay healthy, first of all. They invested a little bit of draft capital in Trey Sermon, and I don't want to claim to be able to predict any of those backfields is really more of the thing. I don't know, basically. Seems logical that, Sermon wouldn't become a bell cow, but it's also very possible that he becomes like the guy. Aaron Jones isn't a bell cow. Kamara's not a bell cow. Austin Eckler is not a bell cow, right? Even Jonathan Taylor's not a bell cow. These guys aren't bell cows. Doesn't mean you can't become first round, second round running back on, an offense that we can see the ceiling on. I think Mostert can't become the bell cow. Sermon might be able to. I don't know if it's possible, but I don't really see a path to where Mostert becomes the bell cow just because of the way they've used him in the past, kind of his build, injury history, the way Shanahan uses his backs, et cetera, right? But I foresee Sermon as the guy in Week 17 when they're playing the Texans. Right? You make it to the finals of Best Ball Mania 2. I make it to the finals of Best Ball Mania 2 with this team, which is not going to happen because you guys are too sharp. But you know what I mean. If I make it to the finals of Best Ball Mania 2, who seems like the more likely candidate to get a ton of carries against the Houston Texans in Week 17? Raheem Mostert? How old is Mostert? Late 20s? Probably late 20s. I'm trying to look it up, sorry. 29. The 29-year-old, often injured, skinny running back, or the rookie, kind of beefy bruiser type guy? I mean, to me, it's Sermon. Fair question on Phillip Lindsay. I think a lot of people are all over the place on Phillip Lindsay. My personal take is maybe lazy on the Texans. I don't really draft anyone besides Nico Collins and now Kiki Cutie. That's just my personal take. I don't think that, and I could be way wrong on like David Johnson and Phillip Lindsay, but I'm willing to bet against that offense and a running back in that offense that the payoff is not going to be enough for anyone for me to worry about getting exposure. I think it's a fair assessment that, if Deshaun comes back, that one of these guys could be an absolute smash. So I get that. It's just not a bet that I want to make. I would rather make those late round bets on, the guys who I tout every single day, Darrington and Samaje Perine and Devontae Booker and Damian Williams, those kind of guys. Even Madison a little bit earlier. I like to make those bets instead. Let's see here. Did you guys leave me? Nope. Didn't leave me any of the rookie quarterbacks late. Don't need a tight end. Running back is horrible. I'll take Rager. I'm cool with Rager. Let's take a look. Yeah, nobody gets free 49er stacks in my drafts. You should know this by now. We don't allow that. We don't allow that to happen. Naked Lance, LOL. I actually have a fair bit of Naked Lance teams. I think Lance is a really interesting quarterback to not stack. I don't want to do that. I think in a totally optimal setting, right? We're really optimizing for the nut outcome. A Trey Lance team, damn, running back is bad. A Trey Lance team has one pass catcher because he's running so much that's how he's smashing, right? Like Lamar's breakout year, even though Andrews and Hollywood were really good, you probably only still wanted one of them if you're talking about the absolute nut outcome, the building the optimal team. Like I don't know if it was Hollywood or Andrews. It was probably Hollywood, but you just want Lamar to like run for 100 yards every week, and I think that's kind of the same archetype of Trey Lance. Is like if you're really building an optimal roster, a cash game team, Trey Lance probably has one of those guys break out, Kittle, Debo, or Ayuk. One of them break out, and that's who you want. And then you want Lance to run for 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns. Totally unrealistic number, but you get the point, right? I think that is the ceiling that you're dreaming about with Trey Lance. However, we're talking about best ball, and I do like to double stack him. I do not triple stack him. I'm not taking Kittle, Debo, and Ayuk, but I will double stack him because, you have the scenario obviously where one of those guys goes down and you get two smashes. But the other thing is just that even if Ayuk and Debo don't smash every single week together, it's a very, very, very high likelihood that one of them has a good week every single week. And so that's a little bit of the difference between like DFS or, your managed league. You don't want to have to be deciding between Debo and Ayuk every week. But in best ball, you don't have to decide. But you're going to get one of those good. But you're going to get one of those good guys. And so anyway, I think it's totally fine to take Lance naked. And I have some naked Lance teams I actually wanted to have exposure to, like, attack some naked Trey Lance teams, because if he's like, the second best running quarterback in the league, there are paths to naked Lance actually being like a total smash. So I'm not totally fine. I think it's fine. I would probably prefer to have one, but I don't think you should force anything. I think if you want, if Lance fits your build as a quarterback, you should take him. And this is crazy. People, y'all are crazy. I actually took Randall Cobb, I think, on DraftKings today, but in the 17th round. 11th round Randall Cobb. It's nuts. Absolutely nuts. See, my dogs are going nuts for 11th round Randall Cobb. Terrence. Let's see Terrence. The dogs don't like Terrence's team. Let me see if I can get him to hush up. All right, let's look at Terrence's team. I guess I'm about to be on the clock. Oh, see the dog. Can you see the dog? No, I can't see it. Hey, shh. Let's look at Terrence's team. Ingram, Julio, Sutton, Gage, Cup. Huh. I get it now. Sorry, Terrence. Not my favorite team. Gio in the 13th, Gus. Oh, no. It's getting ugly. It's getting ugly, gents. I'm going to take Crowder. Keep some options open here for a stack. Just in case somebody snipes a quarterback here. And then see if I can maybe wait. Boy, this is perfect timing if I take Jamal Williams here. Perfect timing for this question. Okay. Here's the issue. I am going to take Jamal because I don't want to be stubborn. I have a lot of Singletary and a lot of Madison, and I just don't want to be stubborn in this range. But the Lions offenses I'm certain that you can understand why the field is it's kind of funny that your name is Donkey and you're touting the Lions. However, I am certain that you can understand. I do not believe that they have underrated pass catchers as a collective group. Rashad Perriman might be an underrated third or maybe second, maybe underrated third, him and Tyrell. Their wide receivers are bad. Them and the Texans have the worst wide receivers in the league. So let's not try to make up things about underrated pass catchers. Offensive line is good. I agree. Offensive line is good. They, again, have the worst wide receivers in the league, maybe the worst quarterback in the league. Again, you're making when we have to make up reasons, we have to pull data points out of our ass. that like make it sound like the argument is better, right? Underrated pass catchers. Maybe. Not as a number one. Rashad Perriman is not underrated as a number one wide receiver. Quintez Cephas is not underrated as a number 2 or 3 wide receiver. Tyrell Williams is not underrated as a, they might be underrated like at the league average, but not as the number one weapons. TJ Hawkinson is a good player. He was a good prospect. He's, a top pick, but like he's your best weapon. DeAndre Swift is a really good player. He's not Christian McCaffrey. And Jared Goff is horrible. Like the Jared Goff is thrown for a lot of yards thing, not with Anthony Lynn as his offensive coordinator throwing to Rashad Perriman and Tyrell Williams. He did it with Sean McVay with one of the best offenses in the NFL, with McVay in his ear telling him who to throw to. McVay would get the play in as soon as he could so that Goff could walk up to the line and McVay could tell him what to do at the line. You know what I mean? Like Jared Goff is bad. And Perriman and Tyrell and whatever, their wide receivers are very bad. So like the offensive line is good. That's a perk. Offensive line can't make up for lack of talent and a horrible quarterback. So I think we should be low. And I like Amon-Ra okay. He's all right. Decent college player. I'm not certain that he was ever the best receiver on USC, even though Pittman was pretty darn good. And then, what's his name? Drake London, pretty darn good. Might say Amon-Ra is better, but I don't know. He's fine. He's okay. Yeah. I think this is really the ultimate point, is that Goff's bad. There you go. I can get behind this. I would get behind this as tacking on, later round wide receivers if you want to toss in Perriman, Tyrell, Amon-Ra, Cephas. I drafted Cephas earlier today. If you want to toss those guys in, I think that's totally fine. Especially if you have Seattle. Like you drafted a Russ stack or you drafted Chris Carson or whatever. Even you drafted DK Metcalf and you want to toss in Cephas or Perriman or whatever. I think that's totally fine. One of those guys could pop. Totally fine. I just now realized that I have Lockett. I have a little Lockett Hawkinson correlation on this team with Jamal Williams. So now I'm a Lions truther. Sat here and shat on him for. Did you guys take all the quarterbacks? Okay, thank you. Darnold. Whew. Made it. Safely with Darnold. If you guys would have let me have DJ Moore, we would really be cooking with gas on this team. See what we got here. Oh, this is set. This is perfect. And playoff schedule. Yeah, I think they make these are good points, Jameson. I mean, I'm not stacking them, and like I've seen people take Jared Goff, and that doesn't make any sense to me. Jared Goff is not worth a roster spot on your team, I don't think. But yeah, I don't in a tournament. I don't know what in a tournament means for Jared Goff. He has no upside. He had no upside on the Rams. Draft guys with upside in a tournament. If you want to take him as your damn it. I don't know what I want to do here now. You left me. I have to take Jarwin. See, just let me build out my stacks at value. I don't mind this team. Yeah, I think it's the opposite reason for Goff or for Lions stacks. I'm totally fine. I mean, I just drafted 2 Lions. I'm not excited about it actually, but I'm trying to be more open to other people, other smart people, and not be stubborn. On Jamal Williams 20 picks after ADP or Hawkinson as an elite tight end. I'm not trying to be stubborn on that personally. But in terms of upside, like Jared Goff doesn't have it. And so in a tournament, like he's not throwing for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. Sorry to tell you. Not happening. The matchup doesn't matter. There's actually, like, if you go look at like past data, it's been done for mostly for DFS purposes, but like you want the quarterbacks in positive game scripts for your actual highest upside. You want front runners or shootouts, it going back and forth. Those are the two. You could be in a negative game script if both teams are just lighting it up, right? You remember Cowboys games, obviously, from last year, Seattle earlier in the year, like they even elevated Cam to a smash. You want the shootout game back and forth, or you want your team to be just laying it on somebody, 42-7, right? You don't want the shitty quarterback on a bad offense that needs garbage time, because when a team is up by a bunch and they're playing a prevent style, that doesn't give your quarterback upside. Especially one that can't run with bad weapons. So Jared Goff is just the kind of guy I don't want to draft. And this isn't upside. This isn't winning you shit. 250 yards and 3 touchdowns. 200, yeah. So this is the point. We are playing for low probability ceiling outcomes, and this is what you came up with for Jared Goff ceiling. That doesn't win anything. 250 yards and 3 touchdowns? That's nothing. Ceiling outcomes is like you threw for 350 and 3 and ran for 1 or 2. And how many yards? That's a ceiling. We've talked about Jared Goff a lot here, but I actually think it was a good point for not just Jared Goff, but for like that type of quarterback. And like, I know I took Sam Darnold here, and I think it would be fair if someone were to say like Sam Darnold is similar. I think Sam Darnold has upside. But I would not be like, if someone wanted to argue with me that is not true, I think that would be totally. I think that would be fair. I think I disagree, but Darnold would be fringy for a lot of people on like, does he have the upside? But I'm also taking him, as a second quarterback to Dak. Oh God. Let's see here. I cannot take James White on this team because I have kind of some filler backs. I got to decide between Booker and P. Ryan. Let me double check my rosters. I don't have any Chiefs. I got to take Booker, I think, because they play the Cowboys in the playoffs. I have Terrace Marshall. I drafted Terrace Marshall to kind of backdoor stack to set up the Darnold thing. That's also why I took. Crowder. I wanted to give myself the flexibility with those guys. I have Curtis Samuel for Fitz. I had Devontae Parker for Tua. Hurts was already gone, but Marshall, Crowder to set up those stacks. Let's see. Agreed, Ben. Definitely agreed. Also agreed, Ben. I like the simple points. We saw Teddy Bridgewater play like shit in real life, and we saw one of the lowest passing touchdown rates I've ever seen in my entire life. The Jets threw for the same amount. Here's a fun fact. The Jets threw for the same amount of touchdowns as the Panthers did last year. The Jets. Everybody remembers how god-awful the Jets were, right? As you should. It was the most pathetic thing I've ever seen in my entire life, their offense. Absolutely putrid. And we remember, oh man, the Panthers supported a stud running back and 3 wide receivers. Their offense is great. They threw for the same amount of touchdowns. So the offense is good. They were in the top half of the league in passing yards. It was a quality offense. It's an above average NFL offense. And everybody's like on board with that. And the only thing that they missed out last year from Teddy actually being a smash. Teddy could have been a smash. And it was just touchdowns. So what if Darnold was like is actually decent and like he's the one that gets to start seeing the regression come his way? What if he throws for we're really making up numbers here. What if he throws for 30 plus touchdowns? The weapons are there. So anyway, enough about people are probably sick of me talking about it. I think this is also fair. We'll get into some of the teams in a second, but just trying to make sure I hit these comments. I can show exposures in a second too. Too much Wentz. That's what you're going to see. I was taking a lot of Wentz early in the season. Ingram's fine. It's not that I have just a little bit of Ingram. I actually kind of think his price is bad, little expensive, but he's fine mixing in the cheaper tight ends. I think he's fine. There's just not a lot of pass to upside for Ingram, and I don't love stacking the Giants, so it's like if I don't really foresee a breakout, like a true like fantasy breakout from Ingram, and then I don't really want to stack the Giants, or at least I'm not trying to go out of my way to do it. And he's actually more expensive than a lot of tight ends I like. Like he's 30 picks ahead of Cole Kmet, which seems kind of crazy to me. So I think it's just some nuance, but he's all right. Hurts and Fitzmagic. Yeah. So the Eagles thing has been really interesting, Harbs. I've been thinking about that a lot because I don't have that many Eagles, but I obviously have a lot of Antonio Gibson. I've drafted a little bit of Curtis Samuel, a lot of De'Ami Brown, a little bit of McKissick, and actually a decent clip of Fitzmagic, at least across the different sites. Not like much, but I think I really, really like Fitzmagic. It's just I don't take McLaurin that much because he's right there with CD and some of those guys. And Curtis Samuel has been in a weird range a lot, so it's led me. So I've tried to force my way into it, and then I've tried to force some of the Eagles too, not Miles Sanders, but like I've tried to force a little bit of the Eagles too. I don't know, to your point. I don't know if it's a benefit. And I'm not trying to get too hand in the dirt on defenses. We're just now in August, right? I'm not trying to get too hand in the dirt, but like one of my like kind of one of my big takes this year is like the Washington defense is legit. The Washington defense is going to be really good. Like that's just one of my takes. I'm really bullish on this team. It's part of the reason why I'm really bullish on Gibson. It's just like I think this team is going to be good. I think they're going to win the division. I think that they can make a run in the playoffs. Like I think that this team is going to be really good. And so that's good for their offense. They should be efficient. They should score a lot of touchdowns, blah, blah, blah. And so I want that correlation, but like how far do I want to go out of my way to tack on that correlation when like my stand is just really on this team, you know what I mean? And the prices aren't awesome on the Eagles, like especially if Ertz comes back. Now Goddard's probably overpriced. Miles Sanders, I don't really want much Miles Sanders. They have like 7 running backs on the roster right now. Hurts is okay. Like Hurts is fine. I've tried to force myself to a little bit of Hurts, but I just feel like it's in this weird place. And as much as I want the correlation and that, and I want to be thinking about these different tournament aspects, I don't want to be forcing things for, just to force them. It was kind of like the Devonta Smith, perfect time to bring him back up from the question earlier on him. I don't want to be forcing a guy just to force a guy. You can't cover every base. And like, if you want to take a stand on Washington, I know we want correlation and all that. You can like, just take Fulgham. What about that? Take Fulgham at the end of the draft, right? Or take Ertz, take Gainwell later in the year instead of necessarily forcing Hurts and Devonta Smith and Goddard and Miles and stuff because of that. If that makes sense. Auto picked on the 18th. What did you take? What do we got here? Let's see. Jared Cook. Lance Lawrence. I love the Lance Lawrence pairing. Jesus, pick 105. Was he really necessary at pick 105? ETN Hines. That is fragile. I zero RB hyper fragile is fragile. At least I like all those guys. You're even bolder than I am at running back. I would probably take 5, unless you meant that's maybe what you meant to do in the 18th. Let's take another running back, and you got auto picked Cook. That's probably my guess. That's what you did. Accidentally took Cook. See, can't get free. No free lunch. Niners are free lunch. Trey Lance is free lunch. No free lunch in these drafts. This is good. Wide receivers are sick. See, these are fun teams. Would Lance and Fields go in the Herbert Russ range if they were starters right now? Ooh, they should. I think so. Maybe after them. After those guys. Because the tier after them is shit. I don't know. I don't get people's obsession with the non-runners. But people are obsessed with them. Brady, Stafford, those kind of guys. Even Aaron Rodgers, which I think I'm going to talk about the Packers a little bit tomorrow on a show. But Aaron Rodgers, like these non-runners, why I don't know why people are taking them so early when you have, and I guess to Donkey's point here, they're not confirmed start. There's the risk that they don't start. So we're concerned about, missing time. But like, man, if they announce tomorrow Trey Lance is starting week 1, he's not going at pick 130 or 125 or whatever. I don't think so. He has more upside than all those guys. He probably has more upside than a lot of guys. Probably Herbert too. He should probably go after Russ if he were announced a starter. All right. Anybody got a team that they want? I think mine turned out okay. Deep State, you're a madman. That is a. I'm not going to sit here and try to be the running back guy, but that is fragile running backs. That's some fragile running backs. I thought mine were fairly fragile, and you took a lot more fragile running backs than I did. Let's see Let's see the CMC team. Yeah, looks okay. Waller, I do like the Waller pairing, even though I'm kind of Waller CD. See, I wouldn't take both Miles and Josh Jacobs. I actually don't have a problem with them, and I guess this room, Josh Jacobs falls to pick 73. So I get that. What do we got, Frank? Based Frank, 0 RB team. You did whiff on QB. At least you took runners. I like the Taysom thing. Backdoor Taysom, take your shot, right? You got shut out a quarterback. So you take Daniel Jones, who runs. You're not excited about that, obviously, but you get shut. This happens. This has happened to me. I think I talked about this, I don't know when it was, on one of the shows recently. If you get shut out, yeah, dude, just take shots. But like, people will get shut out. This is where I think people make these mistakes. They're like, shit, I got shut out a quarterback, right? Let's take Big Ben and Jared Goff, whatever. No, like, your team's probably dust. Honestly, you might just be dusted on this team because you got completely shut out of quarterback points. So take the long shot, Taysom. Take the long shot, Daniel Jones. At least in an upside scenario, those guys might hang you in there and let you're loaded at wide receiver, right? You have Travis Kelce. Let those guys carry you, and an upside, Taysom wins the job. It basically just Taysom wins the job, and he can keep you you can hang in there. So do that. Don't take Jared Goff. Jared Goff, you're done. It's over. You're not winning the tournament. All right, I'm going to show exposures. I haven't even looked at my exposures. We'll just quickly look through exposures really quick. Best ball season exposure. So yeah, I am, what did I say? This was like 97. Best ball mania 2, 96, 97. Something. That was the thought. Smart. I do agree, Mark. It's all about being weird. I mean, not all about being weird. You don't have to be dumb. But Big Ben, maybe I'm wrong. It's certainly possible that I'll be wrong. And one of the, Big Ben or Tom Brady or something like that is the guy you need. I think their paths to doing that in the money weeks are very, 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 very slim. And I don't want to be, those aren't the bets I want to be making, basically, is what I'm saying. You might get shut out sometimes. You take 3 quarterbacks and one of them's Big Ben or whatever. At least Big Ben has a little bit more upside than like Jared Goff or Derek Carr. I don't see it with Derek Carr and Jared Goff and those types. Maybe Big Ben might be like the last guy. So anyway, you see 45% Darrington because I have to stick to the brand. Latavius, Debo, P. Ryan. You see, this has been pretty consistent. These are the kind of running backs that I take. I was able to get a good amount of Henderson here. I have a lot more of Henderson in the puppy. I think I have like 20% in Best Ball Mania 2 and a lot in the puppy. I was hammering a lot of like Henderson, Lockett, Pollard, Cole Beasley. Turned out to be not a great bet because he drove his own damn price down by being a psychopath. Robbie, Ayuk, Damian, same thing. Got a lot more Damian in the puppy. I was too late to react to Damian, but I feel pretty good about getting on him in the 18th when I did. Titans, trying to bet on a good amount of Titans. AJ Brown, DJ Moore, Terrace Marshall. So you see my kind of guys. Cole Kmet. I think it was if Harbs is still here. The last time I showed my exposure was maybe a month ago or something like that. And you guys were on here, and Harbs gave me shit for all my Mo Alley Cox. And so I don't have as much Mo Alley Cox in the last quite a while, which I guess maybe I got a little bit lucky. All my Mo Alley Cox is like 18th round Mo Alley Cox. And now he's going to go back to the 18th with the Wentz injury. But at least I might have avoided Ertz. Might have avoided the Ertz thing. So it's like, one kick to the dick and one slap on the ass. All right. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go. I'll still be in the Discord this evening. I got a little bit of work to do. I think somebody was asking about doing a drafters draft. I'm not going to stream it or anything. I'm not that much of a madman. But I will hop in some drafters stuff, and I'll post about it in the Discord. If you're watching this and you are not signed up for the Discord, but yeah, this is what happened. Should have been a smash. That's what I'll tell my kids when I'm poor. I don't have any kids, but once I have them, that's what I'll tell my kids. Why didn't you win the $1 million in the first year of best ball? Well, I had 55% Mo Alley Cox, and I was smart, and I avoided Zach Ertz. And then Carson Wentz broke his foot on the fucking second day of training camp. And Jacob Eason was their quarterback, or Brett Hundley. What a disaster. But if you're watching this and you are not in the Spike Week Discord, go to spikeweek.com. Just click the link. You'll send your email. I'll get you an invite. You'll get an invite to your inbox to the Discord. We will be getting up the website, which will have all sorts of fun stuff, the typical rankings, tiers. We got some other, like not tools type stuff, but some other good stuff around playoff schedules and stacks and all that kind of stuff. Helpful little guides for you while you draft, rankings for all the different sites, all that fun jazz will be coming very shortly. But until then, I think I'm going to be back every day this week. I was slacking, sitting on the beach last week. It's draft season. So I think I'm going to be back every single day this week. Spikeweek.com. Sign up for the Discord. I'll be in there all night. Until then, I will see you guys tomorrow.